Another group drags federal government to court over Rivers emergency rule. Air passengers decry poor hospitality, flight delays at Port Harcourt Airport. President Tinubu to visit Benue following weekend killings. On the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump cut short G7 trip over Middle East tensions. Details of these and more after this break. Yellow with the news. Now, a fresh lawsuit is challenging the legality of the National Assembly's ratification of the appointment of retired Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas as sole administrator of Rivers State. The suit by a civil society group, Initiative for Freedom, Conflict Prevention and Social Integration, is filed at the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt. The group is questioning the authority of the National Assembly to set up a committee to oversee the emergency rule in Rivers State, as well as receive the 2025 budget of the state. When the case came up in court on Monday, their lawyer, Kingdom Chukwueze, told the court that his client wants the court to examine the actions of the National Assembly based on the reliefs being sought. Now, the defendant in the suit include the sole administrator, the Attorney General of the Federation, and the National Assembly. Their lawyer, Olafaru, requested more time to respond to the originating summons. This comes weeks after all suits related to the state of emergency in Rivers State were transferred to the Federal High Court in Abuja, in line with Order 49 of the Federal High Court Civil Procedure Rules. In a separate lawsuit at the same Federal High Court, the same group is challenging the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State and the suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The defendants are President Bola Tinubu, Attorney General of the Federation, and the sole administrator of Rivers State. When the matter came up in court on Monday, the lawyer for the defendants, Olafaru, told the court that he is yet to respond to the process and requested time. His request was not opposed by the lawyer of the suing group, Lezina Amigwa. The presiding judge, Justice Mohammed Turaki, after hearing from both lawyers, adjourned the matter to July 21, 2025 for hearing. The lawyers of both parties spoke to correspondent Mekwotaka afterwards.
The frame of this suit is on the legality, constitutionality of the National Assembly ratifying the appointments of the first defendant, sole administrator, and further their constitution or empaneling of a committee to oversight the actions of the sole administrator.
This case is not for Fubara. This case is for the dignity of the office of the governor. This case is not against President Tinubu. This case is for preservation of the spirit of constitutionality. This case isn't against Wike. This case is for the law, its tradition, and precedents. And we more so tell you that every operation of the sole administrator is not recognized by the Constitution of Nigeria.
Still on court stories, the trial of 12 suspects accused of killing a female police inspector, Christiana Erekere, was paused on Monday at the Rivers State High Court in Port Harcourt. Now, this follows the withdrawal of appearance by one of the defense lawyers, Sunday Womon, who had been representing the 9th, 11th, and 12th defendant, as well as the absence of the third defense witness. The court, however, ordered Mr. Womon to continue with the case until he formally applies to withdraw. The trial judge, Justice Augusta Chukwu, adjourned the matter to June 18th, 23rd, 26th, 27th, and July 11th, 2025 for accelerated hearing. Recall that Inspector Christiana Erekere was allegedly killed on April 24, 2024 during a stop-and-search operation at the Taba Police Division in Kana local government area. The suspects were reportedly traveling from Delta State to Akwa Ibom for a traditional marriage ceremony. Moving on, an environment advocate, Fine-Face Dumnamene, is calling on the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) to intensify efforts in developing human capital across the 9 Niger Delta states. Speaking on Nigeria 4FM's Morning Crossfire while assessing the Commission's impact in 25 years of existence, Dumnamene stressed the need for NDDC to extend its development efforts to secondary schools in the regions. Dumnamene, who is the executive director of the Youth and Environmental Advocacy Center, also recommended that the NDDC create a platform where residents can submit projects needs in their communities, which can then be reviewed and implemented.
But the NDDC is an interventionist agency, and I would have expected them to keep part of their budget open, whereby they even flow radio programs. If there is any project in your community that you think needs immediate intervention to fix, please come forward and put it out. And when people will call in to put out those projects, then we look at it, send people to go and verify, and then they carry out that project. That window should be open. They need to sit down on a table every fiscal year to say, this is what we plan to do. Have you planned to do anything here? So we leave that area. Okay, we have planned to do here. You leave that area, so that the resources will be properly used.
The environment advocate further criticized the NDDC, saying it is overly centralized. He suggested the appointment of community liaison officers to serve as a bridge between residents and the authorities.
I think the NDDC is currently over-centralized. The average person cannot have access to the NDDC. You write letter to the NDDC, you don't get responses. And you want to reach any of them, it's difficult to reach them. So I think the NDDC should be restructured in such a way that they have community liaison officers. Maybe they do it at ward level, that we take feedback from the people in each of the wards, collate them to the state office that analyzes the data gathered from that perspective, and then they present it to the national office to look into. So some of these things can help. The NDDC officials should also make themselves available to the people, because they are representing the people and they are not representing themselves. They should try and make access to the commission easier.
Away from that, some passengers of the Port Harcourt International Airport, Omagwa, have called on airline operators to invest in acquiring more aircraft to help reduce flight delays and cancellations. Speaking in an interview with our correspondent, they also criticized the poor customer service experience while trying to obtain boarding passes, describing airline hospitality as inadequate.
Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, they should sit up. They should make sure that any aircraft that is faulty should not be put out to fly publics.
Actually, the hospitality, they need to improve. Hospitality is not good.
Casualties are always en masse if peradventure there is an incident. I've been in an aircraft before where, of course, there was turbulence. The body in charge of safety and security of airlines should do their best to ensure that air travel is safe.
These airlines, since it's being owned by individuals, should source for more carrier. They should introduce more flights so that that particular airline that will do like 3 routes in order to cover up will not go down, and they will not give the other states the excuse that there is technical issue delaying flights and cancelling it.
Meanwhile, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission (FCCPC) has summoned the management of Air Peace Limited following multiple complaints from passengers regarding non-refunded ticket fares. A statement on Monday by the FCCPC Director of Corporate Affairs, Ondaje Ijagu, said the non-refunded ticket fares included those of cases where the airline cancelled scheduled flights. In a formal notice dated 3rd June 2025, the Commission ordered Air Peace to appear at its Abuja headquarters next Monday to address growing public outcry and allegations of consumer rights violations. Coming up next, President Tinubu to visit Benue following weekend killings. Stay with us. And now the rest of the news. President Bola Tinubu says he will clear his schedule to pay a condolence visit to the people of Benue State on Wednesday. The planned visit follows the killing of scores of people in two communities in the state on Saturday. The president announced this during the inauguration of the Greater Abuja Water Network on Monday.
Why I sympathize with the Benue people. I've spoken to the governor. I sympathize those who have lost their life. I will adjust my program and go see Benue people on Wednesday.
A statement says President Tinubu during his stay is expected to meet with all stakeholders, including traditional rulers, political, religious and community leaders and youth groups to seek lasting solutions to the hostilities. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia, and the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Wetoku, visited Yelwata community in Benue on Monday. In the meantime, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says over 6,500 people have been displaced in Benue State following coordinated attacks by unidentified gunmen in the state. NEMA, in a post on X, says the attacks have triggered a humanitarian crisis. In other news, Father's Day may have ended on Sunday, but the conversations that have followed it have not. Now, as you may know, Father's Day, traditionally observed on the third Sunday of June, is a moment to express gratitude and love for fathers, many of whom silently shape lives with steadfast presence and strength. But some residents of Port Harcourt say there is a rise in fathers who are home but not present in their children's lives. In an interview with our correspondent, some residents acknowledge that fatherhood can be overwhelming due to its responsibilities, but stress that a father's absence in their children's lives can leave lasting emotional and psychological effects.
Every man can be a father, but no fathers can be a dad. Some men did not understand the responsibility when considering being a father, and some men just get overwhelmed and saying, oh my God, I actually have to be a dad to someone. Someone actually relies on me.
You should find your path back to your child, even if it's not back to your wife, because you're one of the first contact that shapes your child's morals, that shapes your child into what your child is supposed to grow into. So as an absent father, you're not reasonable, you're not responsible, and there is nothing to justify that. So long as you're not sick, so long as you're in good health, it's wicked and it's not good. That's why they say it's the effort that matters. Everything is not about money. So long as you're trying.
There is no child that will forgive a father when that child really know that you are alive and you are sentient.
Now, studies show that children whose fathers fail to be present in their lives struggle with lower self-esteem and are more at risk of engaging in delinquent behaviors, with girls particularly struggling with unhealthy relationships and risky sexual activities. Meanwhile, the month of June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. It is a time to break the silence around men's mental health. Reports say men are less likely than women to seek help for mental health problems, and they are also more likely to die by suicide. Sharing their thoughts on this, some residents of Port Harcourt urge families to recognize the effort of responsible fathers and create a stable environment by prioritizing their mental health overall well-being.
Responsible fathers have a lot on their shoulders. This thing that, men don't cry, men should cry, men should have the world all on their shoulders. No, as a woman, he's a man, yes, he's going to provide, but what are you doing there? Are you just there to sit down and look at him? Be able to support him. Be his neck, he's the head, you're the neck. He can't stand strong, he can't look straight if the neck is not standing strong. So you should be able to nurture him. He's also your baby too. Compliment any way you can, support him.
Good fathers need all the support they can get. They are heroes without capes. These people cry in ways that you don't see. A good father needs to break. A good father needs to be taken on vacation if there is a chance for that to happen. Surprise your husband, send your husband money.
Let them people that is in charge in order to give them job in order to support family.
Now, on his part, human capacity development expert Dr. Patrick Uduma says ignorance is one of the factors putting many men under pressure. Dr. Uduma tells our correspondent that there are now platforms designed to help men rediscover themselves, offering them safe spaces, mental health awareness, and even free access to therapy.
I think ignorance is one of the things that have allowed men to be under pressure, because men are consistently chasing what they are not supposed to be chasing. And you see, when you don't understand the dimension of love, fundamentals of how, from your mental construction, how it affects your life, then you'll be wallowing under pressure. But I mean, we're creating platform for men where they can come in. We will, from their self-discovery to their belief system to their relationship with themselves. And so we have a forum we have created and platform that men can rediscover themselves and find how to live, not under pressure.
Dr. Uduma, however, urged fathers to recognize and take advantage of these platforms. He said when men learn to regulate their emotions and seek help, society benefits by having more productive, emotionally available fathers.
When men become more relaxed in their emotion, you see that we are going to have more productive country, more productive fatherhood, more productive workers and leaders. We have created a lot of men's avenue where we help you understand your decomposition as a person, from your spirit, from your mental and your physical, because you can't get from the world if you are not contributing to the world. So what we are doing is that we are re-educating people. We are bringing a lot of awareness so that men can rediscover their path and stop this unnecessary due pressure based on competition.
And now on the international scene, U.S. President Donald Trump says everyone should evacuate Iran's capital immediately. The U.S. president is also cutting short his G7 visit because of the Middle East situation, as Iran and Israel continued to exchange fire overnight. U.S. officials say President Trump has asked his National Security Council to convene, but the U.S. is not joining the Israeli offensive on Iran. That's a wrap on the news this morning. Before we go, let's have a look at the major stories. Another group has dragged the federal government to court over Rivers emergency rule. Air passengers are decrying poor hospitality and flight delays at the Port Harcourt airport. President Tinubu is to visit Benue following weekend killings. On the foreign scene, you heard U.S. President Donald Trump has cut short his G7 trip over Middle East tensions. The news was edited by Chioma Ezenwafo. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808-721-7215. I'm Ifechukwu Mwanyele. Many thanks for listening.